Has he gone?
Carmarthen, with every possible courtesy.
Odious man. Odious.
He does his duty.
And takes a mighty pleasure in it.
I'm told he has few other pleasures, whereas
To
I, on
come
the other
himself, with the king's orders. Nay, the queen's. But this, I'll swear, is her doing. To gloat, as he did, over your disgrace.
Disgrace?
Aye, what else? Remove from your place at court your commands in the army. The world will think you disgraced. Thank God we've got enough to live on quietly at Holywell, and the children will not starve. Oh, but for you to be turned out like an idle footman. This wasn't the strangest thing that was ever done. When I think how well you've served the king. Was this done because of me? Because the Lady Anne won't dismiss me?
Only in part. William had to do something, if only to satisfy his Dutchmen. I've opposed them in and out of Parliament. I've told the king to his face they should go. They've brought him tales of my meetings with Jacobite agents.
Everyone meets them. Shrewsbury, Halifax, even Sydney.
Truly. And we've led them a pretty dance. Told them how we love King James, given them stale intelligence and got fresh news in return. So they go back to Saint-Germain and tell James that half the great men here would support his restoration.
But you wouldn't.
And be ruled again by the Jesuits.
Oh, God forbid. But William is no fool. He must know that you wouldn't.
Yes, he does. So that's not what troubles him.
Well, what then?
While the war continues, he must spend half the year in Flanders. Since I have refused to serve except in command of troops, I remain in England. Now, Sarah, he looks across here at our circle at the cockpit. He sees the Lady Anne and the coalition growing between the church, the army, and the Parliament in her support. He sees all this, and he smells a plot, though I think he only half believes in it.
A plot? To put the Lady Anne on the throne? Does anyone imagine she'd consent?
The Queen does.
Oh, that woman is stark mad.
No. Harassed and unhappy. She has a task too big for her. She's jealous of the Lady Anne because her husband loves her so well. And she hates you.
Oh, that I do know.
Perhaps for the same reason. Or maybe because her sister has a friend in you and she has none.
She deserves none.
She's unloved, and being a woman, her thoughts turn to plots and treacheries. So, for her peace of mind, I'm dismissed the army.
And I am to abandon the princess. Oh, to speak truth, I often wish that we...
My dears.
Madam, you should have sent for me.
I was too impatient, anxious to see you. Thank you, I shall do very well. Sarah, sit beside me. Dear Mr. Freeman, the king has used you barbarously.
Is it known already?
Everywhere, madam.
I was honoured yesterday by a letter from my sister. She commands me to dismiss Lady Marlborough at once from my service and to instruct you both, that you may no longer live here at the cockpit.
Which she has no right to do.
No, because on my marriage, this place was given to me by King Charles to be my own home.
It is still a part of the court, and if the Queen orders us to go, go we must.
This is what she told me. I writ immediately to say that I could never consent to part with my friends. Sooner than that, I would leave here myself and find other lodgings.
2 months from your confinement? Nay, madam, that you shall not do.
I am determined upon it, and the prince agrees with me.
Why, damn it, certainly.
Where? Where could you go?
The Duke of Somerset has offered me Syon House at Brentford.
Does the Queen know this?
She does, and is mighty vexed. The king sent for Somerset and desired him to change his mind.
I can imagine his reply.
'Tis said he told the king that no gentleman would expect him to take back his word once it had been given.
A proud man, the Duke of Somerset. Now, madam, I must speak plainly. If my husband and the king quarrel over matters of state and high policy, that is one thing. My lord is well able to defend himself. But for you to be used harshly, forced out of your own home because of me, well, that's another matter. There's a simple remedy, and if your kindness won't allow you to take it, then I must do so for you. I ask your permission to go.
pray you, I beg of you, for Christ Jesus' sake, don't think of leaving me. Have I so many friends that I can spare the best and most true?
I desire only your care and comfort.
Then don't speak again of going from me. Don't ask my permission, for you'll never have it. And if you should be so cruel as to go without it, why then... Why, from that moment, I should never enjoy one quiet hour. Husband, you must tell her. Command her not to leave me.
Nay, I have not the power to command. But will you not stay? My wife has great need of you.
John.
Somerset being so proud, you've not had the honor of visiting Sion House. But I'm told it's tolerably comfortable.
So, as the Queen remained obdurate, the Princess moved at once to Brentford. Here a son was born to her, a weakly child that died a few minutes after the birth. And pomp and feast and revelry with masques and antique pageantry, such sights as youthful poets dream on summer's eves by haunted stream. I tell you, Mrs. Morley, if Milton was a true Puritan, then I'm a Dutch housefrau. Shall I stop reading? Do you wish to sleep now?
No. I should only dream again of the child that's gone. You should read me sermons, not poetry.
Plague, no. Comedy's the thing, and I'd have read from Wycherley, save you're not yet fit for hearty laughing.
What is it?
Her Majesty is here to see you.
What?
Peace, madam. Where is she?
With His Highness.
Tell Her Majesty.
Well, sister. Well, are we to be alone? My Lady Sunderland, be good enough to attend us, and you too, sir.
Do you know, sister, that every tongue in the world is clacking about you and me?
I am sorry to hear it.
Oh, the tale of our quarrel is a coffee-house jest throughout Europe.
I seek no quarrel.
Yet your behaviour in a sister has been very unkind and would have been uncivil and unequal. I need not say that I have more to claim. I know what is due to me, and I expect to have it from you. This dispute between us must be ended.
Oh, willingly, madam.
Very well. I have made the first step by coming to you. I wait for you now to take the next, by removing my Lady Marlborough.
3 days since, I was in sore labour, very ill. You had a message from me, but made no answer. Now my child is dead. When they told me you were here, I hoped you might have some compassion.
First, I am to be obeyed.
No. In this only, you are not to be obeyed.
As you see, the princess is not well. May I take you to your coach?
I was unable to pay the princess my respects. Will you give her my duty?
She'll accept of it gladly.
A moment, pray.
Why? My Lord Rochester, I haven't seen you for an age. Not since we were dismissed the court. But that's the case with many people.
I have very little time.
Ah, you came with the Queen. Don't keep her waiting. Or did she send you?
We were friends once, your husband and I. Therefore I venture to offer some advice, for his sake and your own. Persuade my niece to submit herself to the Queen.
You tried to persuade her, I know, and the Queen tried to compel her, but you have both failed. So what chance have I?
Leave her. Remove yourself. I assure you the Queen would be grateful.
I am well assured of it. Now, my lord, excuse me. The princess is alone. Mrs. Morley.
For a moment I thought you'd gone.
Gone? Gone? Good Lord, no. I'll go when you send me away and not before.
Well, that shall be never. Never. Nothing but death shall ever make me part with you.
At this time, Louis was persuaded by our late King James that a descent upon England would be successful. He was convinced that many would come over to him, and especially that Admiral Russell would yield up the fleet. So an army of Irish and French was assembled at La Hogue, with ships enough to transport them. Queen Mary then ruled in the absence of her husband in Flanders, and immediate steps were taken to repel the invasion.
That if the descent takes place, he will himself come back to defend his country.
I thank you, my lord.
All depends on the fleet. I believe we outnumber the enemy, but will our ships fight? I confess to great doubts about the loyalty of Russell.
We all share them.
I advise his removal, along with all other officers who appear to be disaffected.
Excuse me. I know little of naval matters, possibly even less than the rest of you. But if you remove the trained admirals, who is going to command in their place? Ordinary seamen?
No, stay now.
Or the Privy Council? En masse? My God, Laurie, I'd give 100 guineas to see you navigating a fire ship.
My lords, Her Majesty has already decided this matter. Now, it is true that under its present commanders the fleet may not fight, but without them 'tis incapable of doing so. Pray, madam, tell the council what you've done.
Very well. Well, I have sent, under my own hand, a message to all the officers. I have said that much had been told me of their disaffection, but that I was resolved to rely on their honour, that I was convinced that they would not betray me, a helpless woman, and still less the glory of their country.
Excellent. Nobly done, madam. Nobly done.
Oh, we shall see, my Lord Portland. It is in God's hands.
May we now take the matter of the declaration by the late King James, sent over here and secretly printed?
Suppress it, find the printer, and hang him.
Aye.
May I suggest a different course?
My lord?
Reprint it and publish it throughout the kingdom.
What?
No document is better designed to destroy the Jacobite cause.
I don't follow.
The late king has learned nothing. In one sentence, he promises an amnesty. In the next, he denounces everybody, high or low, who took part in the revolution or even agreed to its terms. You, my Lord Carmarthen, are especially marked down for vengeance, as is the Earl of Marlborough.
That was only for deception.
And many others. Publish it with comments.
Too dangerous.
Nay, trust the people. Let them read this, and I'll wager we'll hear the old cry of popery and wooden shoes.
If you publish this...
So that was agreed upon. But the council resolved to clap into prison all suspected persons, and this had a melancholy effect. New plots were invented daily by villains who, like Oates, hoped to gain money by their discovery. One of these was Robert Young, a clever forger, who lay in Newgate jail.
Well, my brave blackhead, what think you of that?
Bloody treason, I'd say.
Questionless. Do you know the names signed below?
Some. Cornbury. Marlborough.
You've heard of him?
Aye. There's one, W. Kent.
Sancroft. Still signs himself Canterbury, though he's long been dismissed.
And Thomas Rotham.
Now mark that one well, for you know him and his house.
Do I?
Bishop Spratt of Rochester.
Many's the quart of ale I've had in his kitchen at Bromley. But that old fool, he's no conspirator.
Blackhead, I'll tell you a thing taught me by Dr. Oates. In the making of a plot, every man accused, every man, must already be suspected of treason, or at least of opposition to the king. And damn it, that's the same thing. Next, you should accuse one great man that others desire to bring down. Now, 6 of those names mean little, but the 7th...
Marlborough.
will be well paid if that one comes to the block.
All these names were writ by you, eh? How'd you come by them? I mean to copy.
Oh, differing ways. I writ to Marlborough in the style of a nobleman, asking the character of a servant. His answer is here. Easy. Now, here's the lay. You'll take this paper to the bishop's palace at Bromley and hide it.
Where?
I've thought of that. His house is full of flower pots. Choose one, conceal the paper, and send me word.
And what will you do?
Nothing. My letter to a certain lord of the council is already writ.
These are perilous times. Whatever the law says, the kingdom must be protected. What is one man's freedom compared with that?
If the law cannot protect even one man, then none of us is free. I will not sign any warrant on a single evidence without proof.
I shall sign.
And I.
And I.
And I. Yes, and I shall also sign.
By a great majority, this warrant is approved.
My lord, by warrant of the Privy Council, I am ordered to arrest you for high treason.
My Lord Marlborough, wherever you are, whilst I have life, my soul shall follow you. And wherever I am, I shall only kill the time wishing for night that I may sleep, and hope next day to hear from you.
Soul, my dearest soul.
4 days. 4 days before I could get a pass to see you, but you got my letters.
Yes, my love, I got them. Now be easy. Take off your cloak.
Are you well? You look pale. How do they use you?
All the kindness you could desire. All I lack is my liberty and your company. What's in here?
Some fresh butter and eggs from Holywell and a stick or two of young rhubarb, the first of the year.
Good.
Also, a letter from Henrietta and one from Little Anne. Badly writ, I'm afraid, but better spelled than mine, to be sure.
Have you told them where I am?
Henrietta, yes, but not the others.
That was wise. And you've spoken with Sidney?
Aye. He came to me at Sion House. The Lady Anne's still abed and likely to be so a long time. Oh, she sends her most affectionate greetings, as does the Prince.
Give them mine. Now, what did Sidney tell you?
About this idiot plot. All he knew, which was not much, though he swears he'll find it all out. He spoke of some lousy villain.
Young, Robert Young.
Aye, who sent word to the council accusing you and others of treason. A conspiracy to seize the Queen alive or dead and restore King James. Did he have any evidence?
Only his oath.
And they sent you here on that. Now, what's all this about mad tale about a flower pot?
Not quite mad, Sarah. A document exists, an association binding me and the others over our signatures.
Forgeries.
Certainly. But Young swore it would be found in a flower pot at Bromley. So they arrested us, including poor Spratt, and searched his house, but they found nothing.
What?
Something went amiss.
Oh, my God. But are you still in danger?
Only if the paper be found.
But can't you prove that it's a forgery?
It will be a very good one, be sure of that. And it's the hardest thing in the world to prove a negative.
Damnable. Damnable.
You should understand that the timing of all this was most skillful. The king abroad, the nation near emptied of troops, an invasion threatened, the Queen and her council seeing plots everywhere, and they have reason. A large party exists that would support James if he landed.
So the plot was contrived by your enemies. The Queen?
I think not, though she will not be displeased to see me clapped up in the tower.
Who then? What great man pays young to destroy you? Romney? Portland?
Possibly. But, Sarah, during these days I've thought more of my friends. Sidney first, and Shrewsbury, and the 3 lords of the council who refused to sign the warrant.
Who were they?
Devonshire, Bradford, and Montague.
I shall remember their names as long as I live.
And one thing more. The Habeas Corpus Act of 1679. It sets a limit to the imprisonment of any man unless he be indicted and brought to trial. If no evidence can be brought against him within certain days, then he is to be released on bail. And then, if he demand his trial and still they cannot indict him for lack of evidence, why then he goes free.
Was this not the law that James?
It was. He strove hard to have it repealed, but the Commons would never consent.
I little thought when you told me. Does it cover the offence of high treason?
The 6th clause. Read it.
Read it. I'll learn it by heart. Must I go?
Nay, I expect...
Ah, Sarah, they told me you were here. May I come in?
Sidney.
Since this is a free pass day...
Free? They made me pay 2 guineas.
Then you were wrong.
Oh, the rogues. I'll have it back.
I doubt it.
As I was saying, it being a free pass day, I bring you the news.
Good news?
Some good and some, well, interesting. First, Admiral Russell has sailed for Spithead, where he hopes to join the Dutch fleet. And Carter is in the Channel with his squadron looking for the French. But whether Tourville is prepared to fight...
If he refuses, the invasion ships at La Hogue will be open to attack. Russell will destroy them.
Assuming Russell will fight.
He will.
Many hold a different view. But on your opinion, John, I'll strike a few wagers with my doubting acquaintances. I'm promised 3 to 1 against. And now, John, as to your own affairs...
Is there anything new?
A little, but I'll come to that in a moment. The letters you gave me are delivered.
I'm obliged. Did you see Halifax?
I did. He desires you to command him in anything.
And Burlington? Carberry?
The same. Sarah, your husband still has some good friends.
I need only look at you to know that.
These are for you to sign. A good lawyer drew them up, but I'll read them first, if you wish.
Simple matters, Sarah. To do with my estate. Silly.
Shrewsbury and I have busied ourselves up and down the town. It appears that the rogue Young has a tame rogue of his own, but we watch him day and night. He goes by the name of Blackhead.
Well, have you got it?
Aye, but...
Give it me. Fool, where was it?
in the parlour next to the kitchen.
Where?
In a flower pot.
How did they miss it?
How should I know?
Well, no matter. Tomorrow they'll have it by a sure hand. Nice was that.
And so, John, the French were scattered.
Russell fought after all.
Mm-hmm.
As you said he would. And I'm 50 guineas the richer for it.
It said that before the battle he told the sailors, if your officers won't fight, overboard with them and me first of all. Yeah, the man loves James and hates William. I find that hard to understand.
That's because you're no sailor. Or soldier, for that matter. When loyalties conflict, the professional comes first.
I've often wondered, John, what you would have done at Salisbury if King James had ordered you to attack.
Well, happily, he did not. Go on, Shrewsbury.
Well, fire ships and men in boats were sent into La Hogue. Fighting there went on for 4 days. 13 of their ships, 13 were burned, as well as transports and stores. And in the end, the shore batteries were silenced. A noble feat of arms.
Noble indeed.
It also destroyed all their hopes of an invasion.
Which can only help with your affairs.
You think so? The Queen's enmity remains?
True. But the Council's mood has changed now that the danger's over.
They still have that paper, I think you said.
Aye. But now they'll examine it a deal more carefully. And those lying witnesses.
Especially Blackhead. As big a rogue as Young, but a weak fool, though.
I believe we'll crack him.
Will Carmarthen allow that?
He will. Despite all his faults, he's a fair-minded man. And he loves justice.
Now, Blackhead, this morning you confessed that you brought the Bishop of Rochester a letter from Robert Young under the false name of Dr. Hooks.
Yes, I did.
Is this the letter?
I'm not sure it is.
Consider it well. You began to be somewhat ingenuous this morning. If you relapse, it will fare the worse with you.
Yes. Yes, this is the same letter.
So, you took this false letter as an introduction to the bishop. You then desired of the bishop's servants that you might see his study. Why did you do that?
I don't remember asking them.
They do, and they're waiting to swear to it.
I can't deny it. I did desire to see his study.
You had better not.
What was the reason for it? Had you some paper about you that you desired to drop or leave in the bishop's house?
Tell the truth. Nothing less will save you from perjury.
Aye, but remember your oath.
I must confess there was a paper.
What?
Yes, there was a paper.
What did you with it?
I left it in the parlour next to the kitchen.
In what part of the parlour?
In a flower pot in the chimney.
God bless me, I never heard of any paper being found there. My servants would surely have brought it to me. Pray have them called.
Nay, my lord. Their testimony is no longer needed. Proceed, if you please.
The Blackhead. What paper was it you left in the flower pot?
The association.
This paper? How came you by it?
I had it from Mr. Young.
Did Mr. Young direct you to put it in the flower pot?
He did.
May I now read this paper?
Pray do.
We, whose names are subscribed, do solemnly promise in the presence of God to contribute our utmost assistance towards King James' recovery of his kingdoms. That to this end we shall have ready to meet him at his landing 30,000 men well armed. That we shall seize upon the person of the Princess of Orange, dead or alive, and take care that some strong garrison shall forthwith be delivered into his hands, and furnish him with a considerable sum of money for the support of his army.
And here is your name subscribed, Bishop, among others.
Good Lord, I'd almost swear it was my own hand. All the difference being they've done me the favor to write it finer than I can.
May I examine the paper? Here are two hands I know well. Archbishop Sancroft and the Earl of Marlborough. Both most excellent, well-famed.
They have yet to be proved counterfeit.
Nay, this damnable forgery is well proven. Call in Young.
This warrant, my lord, is for £30,000. You will please to arrange that the gold is sent without delay to Spithead for distribution among the seamen.
I will, madam.
The officers must wait. I have in mind the striking of a medal in gold. Each officer who served in the battle to receive one. What think you?
A gracious action. I hope the money can be found to pay for them.
Is the nation not to reward its heroes?
Somehow, madam, it shall be done.
I thank you. My Lord President.
Madam.
What of the wounded?
All is being done that can be done. We sent down every doctor we can find and all needful supplies. But until we can get the men ashore, that we can't do, for there's nowhere to put them.
Could they be moved into one ship with all the surgeons?
I believe so, madam.
Then have them sail round to the Thames and tie up at Greenwich.
Greenwich?
Well, the palace is empty and unfurnished, but there's a roof over it and enough space to receive them all. Will that serve?
I believe so, madam, but...
But what?
They will require bedding and meat and people to attend, and the cost will be...
Am I to be told twice in one day that we cannot afford to be generous? I pray you, my lord, do as I beg you.
Madam.
By your command, madam, I went to the Court of King's Bench.
Well?
The Earl of Marlborough asked to be placed on trial, but no evidence was offered against him.
This affair was ill managed.
The council acted according to the law, madam, as soon as
I'm
Mac had
waiting to
confessed
hear my Lord Portland.
We set bail at £6,000, but it appears that was not enough.
What?
The whole sum was immediately paid down.
Was it by whom?
The Lords Burnington, Carberry, Halifax, and Shrewsbury.
Did you say Shrewsbury?
Aye, madam.
My Lord President, the King shall know how shamefully I am served while he is away. Bring me presently the roll of the Privy Council. I wish to strike off 2 names, that of Halifax and Shrewsbury.
Did you hear how she balked at the name? Perhaps the old scandal is true after all.
My stupid eyes grow no better. Dr. Radcliffe tells me not to use them. But if one can't use one's eyes... Sarah, you must wait and be patient.
I can wait, as I have these 6 weeks. But I can't be patient. Yes, I can. I can be anything, if I've a mind to it. Now, Mrs. Morley, what gossip have you for me?
Aye, none at all. Since the Queen gave orders that no creature was to visit me on pain of being dismissed.
Mrs. Morley, let us not talk of the Queen. I find it quite nauseous just to think of her.
And you have reason, as I have. So we'll talk of your affairs. How does your mother at St. Albans?
She's no better, poor soul. I shall go to her, with your permission, as soon as my lord... I mean, if my lord...
Sarah. Sarah. Is she well cared for?
Thank God she is. You remember me telling you of a family called Hill, relations of mine?
No, I believe not.
Sort of cousins, though I knew not of their existence until an acquaintance told me that they were in want. Their father turned projector and ruined himself, but this was many years ago. Well, I sent them money and cared for the children. The elder girl, Abigail, I took into my own family. A decent, quiet sort of woman without a great deal of wit, but I think her honest. Well, she makes herself useful, and my mother likes her.
I'm glad of it. You must bring your cousin to me sometime.
Thank you, I shall. I expect her to wait on Henrietta when the girl is old. Did you hear? Nothing. Mrs. Morley, I neglect you. Another dish of tea. Lord, to stone cold. May I send for some fresh?
Here is Mr. Freeman, my dear, safe delivered from his enemies.
Dear Mr. Freeman, this gives me great joy. I thank God for your deliverance.
I too, madam, and the good friends who stood by me.
Parliament should see to it that people are not clapped into prison for nothing, else nobody here will live in peace but insolent Dutch and sneaking mercenary Englishmen. Do you know, husband, I feel so much better. Might we not stroll in the gardens for an hour?
What? What's that? Oh, why, yes.
These are dismal times, and maybe there's worse to come, but we'll wait in patience for a sunshiny day. Where are we going?
To the gardens. You desired to stroll for an hour.
Did I? Well, then, by all means, let us stroll. At least for 10 minutes.
You're vexed.
Am I?
Yes. What's amiss? They'll not send you back to...
No.
Then what is it? Do you think I don't know when you're troubled?
I meant not to tell you. Not today. Sarah, as I left the tower, a letter was given to me from my brother Charles in Flanders. There was a battle at Steinkirk.
A defeat?
William had to withdraw, so the French claim a victory. That matters nothing. But our English division must cut to pieces. My division. My infantry that I nursed and trained to be invincible. Count Solms, the king gave in my command, threw them in without support. And when General Mackay sent to beg for help, he refused it callously, though he had reserves to spare. Mackay was killed, and Lanier, and 3,000 of our English killed or wounded. Sarah, I should have been there! I should have been there!
Be thankful that you were not.
What?
Or could you have saved them without the authority the king denies you?
Maybe not, but if I'd been there, I
You might have died along with Mackay and the rest. Ah, yes, John. For a soldier, that may be easy. But remember how close to death you've been these last dreadful weeks. Praise God as I do, because you're alive and here with me. Praise God for that, even if you never be employed again. So, for 2 more years, King William threw his armies away in one costly defeat after another. And as for the Queen, she never again saw the face of her sister. Is it the Queen?
Yes, Mum.
Where is she?
Send for the king.
First.
No, merely send for the king. Allow no one in this room unless... Oh, no. Less. Oh, God. Oh, God, have mercy upon me.
I have a reply to the message you bade me send.
Does she?
Madam, I am commanded by the Queen to tell you to thank the Princess for sending and desiring to come, but it being thought so necessary to keep the Queen as quiet as possible, I hope she will defer it. I am, Madam, your Ladyship's most humble servant, E. Darby.
Unkind. Her room will be full of people.
You run no hazard since you had smallpox as a child.
It is very clear. She desires no reconciliation, whether she lives or dies.
There's a postscript here that says a great deal about that. P.S. Pray, Madam, present my humble duty to the Princess.
Lady Darby writ that?
I'm not used to such civilities from the court. The whole College of Physicians couldn't pronounce more surely that the Queen's disease is mortal.
Your Majesty.
Yes, my lord.
The Queen is near to death.
You imagine that? I do not know that.
No, sir, but she does not know. Have I your permission to tell her?
Truly. Truly, she must not be deceived. Tell her, my lord.
think he'll come?
Who? The King or John?
The King, well, he's committed to it. Besides, it's his birthday ball. He must needs come. Now, I mean Margaret. I think he will.
I really have the chance of betting on a certainty, so Nay, I can't take your money. John will meet the King on the day His Majesty invites him, and not before.
Splendid. Splendid.
Pretty child. Do you know her?
I do, but I
Wait now. Our play begins.
Dear Henrietta, your first ball, I think?
Yes, madam.
A happy moment for you. Come, give me a kiss. Your mamma told me you'd be here. Oh, she grows very like you. Is this the cousin you spoke of?
Yes, madam.
Will you present her?
Madam, may I have the honor to present my cousin, Mistress Abigail Hill.
Lady Marlborough has told me of your kind services, both to herself and her late mother.
I'm deeply grateful, madam.
You look very hot. I've danced every dance. 3 with Francis Godolphin.